then I'll be damned, it really happened. Our rapper got killed. It broke my heart seeing my N-word get hit up with that steel.
Yeah, it's like he ain't want to just say, I don't know like 100% everything, but I know he wasn't saying like he didn't want to just drop the tape, like I don't want to drop this with you. He was saying like, let's wait.
When you thought the rap world couldn't get any messier, NBA YoungBoy just turned it into a WWE pay-per-view. Leaked footage allegedly shows YB slapping Lul Tim. Yes, the same Lul Tim tied to the King Von situation. And the internet is losing its collective mind. One second it's a casual meetup, the next it's a full-blown street sermon with YoungBoy delivering holy hands of disrespect. Twitter went nuclear, TikTok caught fire, and the streets? Man, they're treating this like the second coming of the Von versus Quando saga. You'd think the world stopped spinning for this slap. The sound of that hit probably echoed through hip-hop history and knocked a few old beefs back into motion. Because the second that clip dropped, King Von's name got dragged straight out of the grave of controversy. Fans are calling it revenge, karma, and even divine justice. Meanwhile, others are screaming, YB went too far. One slap just reopened a wound the game's been trying to heal for years. What really went down? Why did YoungBoy snap on Lul Tim? And how did Von's ghost end up trending again? Buckle up! This story's got betrayal, receipts, and enough chaos to make the Kardashians call for it all started with a video so wild that even the most seasoned rap bloggers thought it had to be fake. A grainy clip hit Twitter late at night. No caption, no context, just chaos. The shaky phone footage showed two familiar faces in what looked like a tense argument. Then, out of nowhere, NBA YoungBoy stepped forward and delivered what might go down as the most talked about slap in modern rap history. The sound alone could have been used to remix 38 Baby. Within seconds, timelines exploded. Did YB just slap Lul Tim? Flooded every comment section like a digital riot. At first, nobody wanted to believe it. After all, Lul Tim isn't just anybody. He's the man forever tied to the tragic King Von incident. The guy fans dubbed the spark that started a war. Seeing him get checked by YoungBoy, his own affiliate, was like watching the rap universe glitch. People didn't know if they were witnessing karma, betrayal, or the end of an alliance that had already been controversial since day one. The internet detectives immediately clocked in. Frame-by-frame analyses popped up across TikTok and Reddit. People slowed the clip down like it was the Zapruder film of hip-hop. Look at the chain. That's definitely YB. Pause at 007. That's Lul Tim's hoodie from his last live. The evidence piled up fast. What started as a rumor turned into an undeniable storm. And before the sun came up, You Would a YB slap challenge was trending. But here's where things get darker. The slap wasn't random, at least not according to insiders. Sources close to the situation claim tension between YB and Lul Tim had been brewing for months. There were whispers that Lul Tim had been running his mouth in private circles, hinting that YoungBoy didn't ride for his camp like he used to. Others said YB felt Lul Tim had become too comfortable using his name to stay relevant. Either way, something snapped, and that slap became the punctuation mark to months of behind-the-scenes drama. Fans couldn't stop connecting the dots. They started pulling up old clips of YB talking about snakes in the grass and fake loyalty. Suddenly, every vague lyric, every cryptic post looked like a breadcrumb trail leading straight to this moment. One fan tweeted, "Bro been subliminally talking about Tim since 2023. We just didn't notice." Another wrote, "YB warned us. Loyalty only lasts until the camera's off." It was like watching a conspiracy documentary unfold in real time. Meanwhile, King Von's name resurfaced like a ghost in the algorithm. Von's supporters came flooding in, saying the slap was poetic justice. "That's for Von," one tweet said, racking up over 200,000 likes. "Von got the last laugh," said another. It was the type of digital resurrection no one saw coming. People were editing clips of the slap with Von's music in the background, turning it into a bizarre tribute/diss hybrid that blurred the line between homage and mockery. As always, the blogs dove headfirst into the madness. DJ Academics posted the clip with the caption, "YB out here smacking his own team." Say Cheese reposted it twice in one day, asking fans to rate the slap out of 10. Even TMZ started sniffing around for statements. But the craziest part? Neither YoungBoy nor Lul Tim said a single word. No denials, no explanations, just silence. And that silence made everything worse. The streets, though, were anything but quiet. Memphis, Atlanta, Baton Rouge, and Chicago group chats lit up like fireworks. Everyone had their version of what went down. Some said it happened at a video shoot in Georgia. Others swore it was at a private gathering in Baton Rouge after words were exchanged about loyalty and money. No one knew the exact location, but one thing was clear. That slap was personal. Then came the wild twist. A supposed witness went live on Instagram claiming he was there when it happened. "Man, I seen it with my own eyes," he said. YB told him straight up, "You been disloyal," and boom, hit him. Tim ain't even swing back. The live had over 80,000 viewers before it mysteriously disappeared, fueling even more speculation that someone from YB's camp had it taken down. Fans were convinced the silence meant guilt. But here's the part that really sent shockwaves. Von's name wasn't trending just because of fan theories. People close to O'Block began chiming in too. A few of Von's old associates posted cryptic stories with captions like, "Energy never lies," and "The streets always collect their debts." Those posts got deleted within hours, but screenshots live forever. Suddenly, the internet was convinced this wasn't just about disrespect. It was spiritual. People swore the King Von curse had finally caught up to the ones who laughed after his death. Still, not everyone believed it. Some argued the clip was staged for clout, a publicity stunt for an upcoming collab or documentary. Others said it was an old video resurfacing to reignite beef that had already cooled. But the energy online said otherwise. The fans didn't care about facts. They cared about the narrative, and the narrative was cinematic. The apprentice slapped by his own master, and Von's ghost watching with a smirk. By morning, memes flooded every timeline. YB, when loyalty expires, showed him holding a contract labeled Day One Homies. Another read, Von's ghost after hearing about the slap, paired with a clip of someone dancing. Even verified rappers couldn't resist chiming in. One commented, "They said keep Von's name out they mouth, now it's trending again." Crazy. This wasn't just another beef. This was a full circle moment that reawakened one of hip-hop's deepest wounds. The line between payback, paranoia, and poetic justice blurred so completely that nobody knew what was real anymore. One slap had done what diss tracks, interviews, and years of subliminals couldn't. It dragged the ghosts of the past right back into the center of the culture. And as the world debated whether the footage was staged, authentic, or supernatural karma, one thing became undeniable. NBA YoungBoy had just reignited a war that was supposed to stay buried. The next 24 hours after the clip dropped were pure digital warfare. Every timeline, every blog, every fan page turned into a courtroom. Team YoungBoy versus Team Lul Tim. Baton Rouge versus the world. It wasn't just a slap anymore. It was a symbol of betrayal, revenge, and karma finally cashing in its overdue balance. The streets had opinions, the fans had theories, and the memes had no mercy. People started dissecting the slap like it was a verse from No Smoke. One fan wrote, "You can literally hear YB's trauma in that hit," while another said, "That slap sounded like it came with a lifetime warranty." Even sound engineers started remixing it into beats. No joke, a producer dropped a track called YB's Hands, the retaliation mix, that hit 500,000 plays in a day. The chaos became culture overnight. But here's where it got wild. New angles of the same incident started popping up. Another blurry video surfaced from across the room, confirming what everyone feared. The slap was real. No PR stunt, no old footage. The timestamp showed it happened less than 48 hours before the leak. And the look on Lul Tim's face, it said everything. Shock, disbelief, maybe even fear. He didn't swing back, didn't even flinch, just stood there, frozen, like he'd been caught off guard by the same man he once defended publicly. The internet couldn't believe it. That man survived a shootout but not a slap. One tweet said, gaining over 400,000 likes. "Von's somewhere smiling right now," another user posted, and it instantly became a meme template. People started editing Von's face over the clip like it was divine intervention. Every scroll on TikTok was a remix, a reaction, or a reenactment. Even parody accounts were claiming King Von's ghost scheduled that slap himself. Then came the influencer reactions. DJ Academics jumped on Twitch faster than a Wi-Fi connection in a hurricane. "YB violated that man," he shouted. "This ain't just no disagreement. This is disrespect on a spiritual level." Meanwhile, Charleston White couldn't resist clowning the situation, saying, "YB out here baptizing his homies with the hand of God. His clip went viral before he even logged off. Everyone wanted a piece of the slap that shook hip-hop. But the tension behind the scenes, that's where things really heated up. Reports started circulating that Quando Rondo, Lul Tim's close friend and YB's associate, was furious. He allegedly called out YB privately, demanding to know what really happened. Sources claimed Quando felt disrespected by association. If the rumors were true, that slap didn't just hit Lul Tim, it cracked the entire foundation of their crew. Fans noticed YB unfollowed both Lul Tim and Quando on social media shortly after. Coincidence? Not a chance. That digital unfollow hit harder than the slap itself. Bro officially excommunicated the whole camp, one fan wrote. He turned his crew into background characters. The internet began, speculating whether YoungBoy was cleaning house, cutting ties with anyone he felt had baggage tied to old street stories that refused to die. And that's when the name King, Von, came roaring back like thunder. Von's name dominated the discourse again. Old interviews, lyrics, and tweets resurfaced overnight. People replayed the timeline of Von's death, connecting it all back to Lul Tim, and by extension, to YoungBoy's orbit. It's full circle, one YouTuber said. Von's name never dies because every move these guys make traces back to that one night in Atlanta. Even Von's sister, Kayla B, dropped a cryptic tweet. The truth always returns home. Fans instantly decoded it as shade toward Lul Tim, and possibly YB himself. Meanwhile, inside the industry, things were getting uncomfortable. A few rappers who had publicly sided with YoungBoy in the past started going quiet. Others subtly threw shade. Lil Durk posted a photo with the caption, "Some people slap their own before they face the real smoke," and the internet detonated. Whether it was aimed at YB or not didn't matter. Fans treated it like confirmation of a brewing storm. Blogs ran wild with headlines. YB turns on his own. Von's spirit haunts the game again. Quando Rondo caught in the middle of the fallout. And the craziest part? None of the main players said a single word. No interviews, no clarifications, just silence. The kind that screams louder than words. The longer they stayed quiet, the more fans filled in the blanks. One conspiracy theory claimed that Lul Tim had secretly recorded a conversation between himself and YB that led to the confrontation. Another alleged that the slap happened over money, that Tim had been holding back royalties or payments meant for YB's affiliates. Others said it was deeper, a moral fracture between two men who had survived too much to ever trust each other again. And then the biggest twist dropped. A source close to YoungBoy told an underground blog that the argument started after YB allegedly confronted Tim about mocking Von's death behind closed doors. According to the rumor, YB snapped when he heard Tim laughing about the past during a private conversation, saying, "We don't play with the dead." If true, that slap wasn't random. It was retaliation for disrespect. The irony? Von's name, once weaponized against YB, might have become the reason he lost one of his own allies. The fans ate it up like a 7-course meal of chaos. So YB defended Von in the end? Nah, he just didn't want bad energy near him. Either way, Von won again. The narrative flipped every hour, but the numbers didn't lie. Every blog post about the slap was pulling record traffic. Reaction channels were hitting 1 million views overnight. Everyone had an angle, a theory, or a prediction. Meanwhile, YB's team started making quiet moves, deleting old posts, locking comments, muting keywords related to the incident. His official YouTube channel stopped uploading for days. That silence was strategic, but it only made fans hungrier. When you don't feed the internet answers, it builds its own story. And that's exactly what happened. By the end of the week, the slap wasn't just a clip anymore. It was folklore. It became a digital legend, a moment frozen in time, whispered about in forums, remixed into songs, and analyzed like a conspiracy. People were convinced this was the breaking point of an entire generation of rap alliances. That one impulsive slap had sent shockwaves from Baton Rouge to O-Block to the very top of hip-hop's food chain. And as if that wasn't enough chaos, the internet started demanding retaliation. Fans were tagging Quando, asking why he hadn't spoken up yet. "You gonna let YB do Tim like that?" became the most quoted comment under his posts. The silence was suffocating. And that's exactly how the drama evolved from a physical moment into a psychological war. Because by now, the slap wasn't about skin meeting skin. It was about legacy meeting karma. The internet didn't see a fight. They saw history looping back on itself, and the question everyone was asking next was terrifyingly simple. Would YB's empire survive the blowback, or was this the slap that split his kingdom in two? By the time the dust began to settle, it was already too late. The story had spiraled beyond control. What started as a viral slap had become a symbol of fractured loyalty, unfinished street business, and the ghost of King Von haunting the rap game like a headline that refuses to die. Every move YB made after that night was under a microscope. Every post, every lyric, every glance was being decoded like he was speaking in Morse code to the streets. When YoungBoy finally reappeared on social media, he didn't post a statement. He dropped a snippet, a dark, moody track playing over a black screen. The lyrics, "Can't trust who ate with me, I feed snakes too much." That one line alone was enough to restart the chaos. Blogs called it a musical confession. Fans flooded the comments with interpretations. "That's about Tim." "Nah, that's about Quando." YB talking to the whole industry. Within hours, the snippet went viral. It was classic YoungBoy, cryptic, confrontational, and calculated. Meanwhile, Lul Tim's camp finally broke their silence, and it wasn't pretty. A friend of Tim's posted a now-deleted story saying, "Ain't no man ever touched Tim without catching heat later." That was enough to spark 1,000 think pieces. Is retaliation coming? Will YB respond? Did Von's spirit start a new wave of street karma? The streets were watching, the fans were waiting, and everyone was whispering about what could happen next. Behind closed doors, insiders said the tension between the camps was unbearable. Quando Rondo allegedly tried to mediate, but his efforts fell flat. One source claimed, Quando told them both to chill, but they too deep in pride now. YB felt betrayed, Tim felt humiliated. That ain't something you just talk through. The idea that two men who once stood on the same side were now potential enemies had hip-hop's entire infrastructure shaking. Even record labels started quietly distancing themselves. Nobody wanted to be collateral damage in another round of street chaos. And in the midst of all this, King Von's name rose higher than ever. It was like every news outlet couldn't stop saying it. People began revisiting his music, his interviews, his infamous smile, treating him like the patron saint of unfinished business. Fans said this was Von's final message to the game. Loyalty dies faster than fame. Even Dirk dropped a post that sent chills through the culture. Real ones don't speak. They get remembered. No names, no hashtags, just energy. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. A new leak surfaced, showing a longer version of the original clip. And in this one, right after the slap, YB could be heard saying, "You laughing about death? I don't play with that." That single sentence flipped the entire narrative on its head. Suddenly, YB didn't look like a bully. He looked like a man drawing a moral line in a world that forgot what loyalty meant. The same fans who were clowning him 2 days ago started calling him a man of respect. Others said, YB finally broke the cycle. Still, the damage was done. Lul Tim went radio silent. No lives, no appearances, no new music. Rumors spread that he'd gone off the grid, laying low to avoid the heat. Quando stopped mentioning both of them altogether. The trio that once moved like a unit now looked like 3 separate stories heading for 3 different endings. Meanwhile, YB's fanbase grew even stronger. They called it the Redemption Era. His next single dropped and immediately shattered streaming records. The video, drenched in symbolism, showed him alone in a desert. No entourage, no distractions, just fire and ash. He rapped, "They wanted me cursed, I came out clean. They wanted me gone, I stayed on screen." The bars were sharp, the visuals biblical, and the fans went feral. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a resurrection. But even as his music soared, the conversation wouldn't die. Every interview with another rapper circled back to that slap. "Would you let YB do that to you?" became the hottest question in hip-hop. Boozy laughed and said, "I ain't gonna let no man slap me, but that boy YB different." Even Kodak Black weighed in saying, YB moved like he got God and demons arguing inside him. The controversy had evolved into folklore, a modern myth wrapped in clout, ego, and street tension. Still, the streets kept their own scorecard. For them, this wasn't about music or morality. It was about what happens next. "The slap ain't the end," one anonymous voice said in a viral space. "It's the warning before the war." The phrase stuck. Andrew Before the War started trending. Bloggers turned it into a series. Every minor move from anyone remotely connected, from Baton Rouge to Savannah to Chicago, became evidence of an incoming conflict. The internet had turned paranoia into prophecy. Yet as time passed, something shifted. The hype started fading, but the lessons lingered. Fans began re-evaluating what loyalty even means in the modern rap world. One viral TikTok said it best: "These rappers ain't friends, they franchises. Once the brand gets bigger than the bond, betrayal's just business." That quote hit millions of views. The slap had gone from scandal to sociology. It wasn't just a moment, it was a mirror. It wasn't just a moment, it was a mirror. And here's the kicker: when YB finally sat down for an interview months later, he didn't dodge the topic. The host asked about the slap directly, and YB simply smirked. "Some people needed a wake-up call," he said. "And sometimes the hand of truth don't come gentle." The crowd lost it. Clips of that interview went viral instantly. Fans called it legendary, iconic, cold-blooded truth. In one sentence, he ended every debate, every rumor, every question. That moment sealed it. YB wasn't the villain anymore. He was the architect of his own myth. He'd taken chaos, controversy, and pain and turned them into power. He made silence a weapon and scandal a stepping stone. He'd slapped a man, yes, but in the eyes of the culture, he'd also slapped back at years of fake loyalty, street politics, and the ghosts of the past that refused to die. By the time the year closed, one thing was clear: that single slap had rewritten rap history. It wasn't just about violence or beef. It was about legacy, morality, and the cost of survival in a game built on betrayal. Because in the end, NBA YoungBoy didn't just slap Lul Tim, he slapped the whole industry awake. And there you have it. The slap that echoed across hip-hop, shook the streets, and dragged King Von's name right back into the headlines, like destiny had unfinished business. What started as a random viral clip turned into the most dramatic moment of the year. A cocktail of betrayal, revenge, and street karma served cold by NBA YoungBoy himself. This wasn't just a fight. This was history repeating itself with louder bass and bloodier loyalty. YB turned one impulsive move into a statement that hit harder than any diss track. Lul Tim's silence, Quando's confusion, and the internet's obsession turned that slap into a cultural earthquake. No interviews, no apologies, just dominance. That's the YoungBoy way. The question now, was it justified justice, or just another spark in hip-hop's endless cycle of chaos? Now I want to hear from you. Was YB standing up for respect, or was he just fanning flames that should have stayed dead with Von's legacy? Did he break loyalty, or expose who never had it in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments like you're testifying in court, because this one's got fans divided straight down the middle. And before you scroll away, smash that like button like YB's palm on Tim's face. Hit subscribe if you live for the scandals they try to silence. And ring that bell so you never miss when we drop the next industry explosion. Because this is the rap truth, where we don't just report drama, we dissect it. Every hit, every headline, every ghost from the past gets dragged right back into the light. Stay locked in, stay wild, and remember, in this game, loyalty fades, but the rap truth never does.